first of all, I'd like to, you know, on behalf of the people of Ireland, and I might be a bit presumptuous saying this, but oh my God, I had never heard of Clare Daly. I think that's how you say it. I hope so. But if not, to be honest, I don't have any respect for her, especially going over what she is about to say in this video. Oh my word. I have heard during my time on this, looking at what other lefties have been saying about the Ukraine war. And unfortunately, it comes from a very, very bad place. In fact, sometimes you listen to some people on the left, and it's a bit difficult to decide, are they pro-Russia in their takes? What is this nonsense that they're spouting? And unfortunately, it comes from this ideal that anything that America does is just instantly bad. It doesn't matter that there are other countries out there that might do bad things themselves. If America does it, or if America were to support another country, even if another country might be doing something bad, then in some way or form, America must be bad. And it is a brain rot that is set in, that we have seen echoed multiple times throughout since the start of the Ukraine war. And it has resulted in bad take after bad take after bad take coming from people like this. Because this just does not, at one point at all, even take into account the actions of what Vladimir Putin has done to Ukraine, or what essentially he wants to do to Ukraine, which is essentially turn it into a bit of a vassal state to, just have bits of Ukraine that he can just take at will. This is just so bad, and I'm sorry that unfortunately for Ireland that this is one of your representatives. I'm so sorry. I know how you feel, because we've had bad representatives ourselves, of course, in the European Parliament before. But yeah, I am sorry. But I saw this video shared by someone on my Facebook page, and they agreed with what this person was saying, and I'm like, I'm sorry. This is nonsense. This is nonsense. This is completely a misreading of what's going on in Ukraine. But wow, yeah. Anyway, before we do this, like I say, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there's a link to my Patreon page, my one-off link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can all buy me coffee. And of course, there's the Pony Club and the YouTube thank you button as well down below. So, as always, let's go. It's bad. It's really bad. I am pre-warning you now. Abandon hope, all ye who enter. We are about to watch a very bad take on Ukraine, and I apologize in advance, but what this woman is about to say is 110%, no, 200% wrong. That's how wrong this person is. So, let us begin. Before I get irate even more. This is already making me angry already. And I've already watched the video, so I sort of know what's coming, but I'm already pretty angry at it. It's just like, at least it's short. That's for sure. Anyway, let's get into this.
Thank you, President. 1 year on, as the war in Ukraine continues, when voices everywhere should be calling for a ceasefire and peace, this resolution is driving us in the opposite direction, so I proudly voted against it.
First question, before we even continue, first question to all these types when they are calling for this stuff, how and what does your ceasefire plan and peace plan look like? These people who are just unanimously, oh, we've got to have a ceasefire, we've got to have peace. Okay, what does that look like? Because we have seen what Putin has done in the past of when he has had these ceasefires, instead of taking this opportunity to de-escalate and, talk about peace. Instead, Putin has used that time to instead reinforce positions and make sure that he has a stronger hand, and in some cases even ignore ceasefires completely, as we've seen that Russia did, and certainly they did during Minsk 1 and Minsk 2, which Russia broke. I want to point that out. So how then would you also ensure that your peace plan was then followed? And what would your peace plan look like? We do not hear this. Consistently, we do not hear this. What does your peace plan look like if you are calling for peace? What does it look like? She may have one somewhere. If someone does, please do let me know. I would love to take a look at it. But anyway, I'll just scoot back and we'll go continue on. But the worst is yet to come.
Driving us in the opposite direction, so I proudly voted against it. It peddles the latest lie that this is not now about defending Ukraine, it's about Ukraine must win.
The latest lie? No, I think we have been clear as an international community together, and I would hope everyone would recognize this and at least join me in this, saying that no, Ukraine should win this war. Because who started this war? I think if you were to ask this person, she would ultimately say, oh, it's America somehow, or NATO, ignoring the entire history of recent history as well of what Russia has been trying to achieve in Ukraine. So I would all hope that we'd all come together and say, yes, Ukraine should win this war. Russia should GTFO. Absolutely. And all these territory they've claimed, you don't get to claim one single bit. I would hope that maybe she would say that. But then again, we don't know what her peace plan looks like.
That this is not now about defending Ukraine, it's about Ukraine must win. What does that even mean?
Ukraine must win, so that Russia can't do this again, because this is the second time Russia has just invaded Ukraine and grabbed land. Remember, they did this in 2014 as well. And a lot of people have said this, that this is the time that Russia has to be decisively defeated so that they can't do this again.
Last April, there was a deal on the table which would have seen Russia withdraw in return for Ukrainian non-NATO membership.
That was not the deal on the table. That was not just the deal on the table. That was not what Russia was saying at the time. Remember, Russia during the time in April was like, okay, not only does Ukraine never join NATO, but we take not only just Donetsk and Luhansk, but we take the northern part, Kharkiv, we take the northern part, we take Zaporizhia, we also take the other part on the other bank of the Odessa region as well, permanently cutting Ukraine off from the sea. Ukraine would also have to sign a economic agreement pact which would tie Ukraine economically to Russia. We would also see the removal of a democratically elected government with basically be replaced by approved and sanctioned Kremlin cronies. Is that the type of peace plan that you would have wanted? That Ukraine would just become a puppet state of Russia, just as it slowly just gobbled up even more? It sure sounds like this person is pro-Russia. This is why I have said, and I will echo this point every single time this is said. Some of these people are so pro-peace, they might as well just be pro-Russia, because they are constantly giving in to what Putin wants. And if you give in to what Putin wants now, what's to stop him doing this in the future? I wouldn't be surprised if this person has called for the dissolution of NATO. And what would that mean to essentially countries like the Baltic states and parts of Poland and other countries that are in the NATO alliance that worry about Putin's doing this to them?
But Ukraine's Western friends, killer clown Boris Johnson and NATO rocked into town and told them to keep fighting.
It wasn't just Boris Johnson and NATO. If you look at the polls, and Ukrainian people have been polled on this, pretty much almost unanimously, they are in favor of fighting. They know what they are fighting for. They know that if they were to give in to Putin and his demands, it would mean they would become a puppet state permanently in hoc to Russia forever. And they do not want that. They want their own freedom to decide what alliances, what economics deals they sign. Not have to go to Putin and say, hey, Putin, can we sign this deal? Oh, no. Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. No, we'll just go back and say we can't do that deal then, even though we really want to do it.
The result, 6 cities devastated, 4 provinces illegally annexed, 108 billion euros in aid, which the people...
Who did that to those cities? Which country did that to those cities? Because it wasn't NATO, it wasn't America, it wasn't the killer clown Boris Johnson. That was Russia. Russia is responsible for the aggression. Ukraine did nothing, did absolutely nothing to promote this. And yet this person, he seems to ignore that. Who destroyed those cities?
Annexed, 108 billion euros in aid, which the people of Ukraine are going to have to pay back over decades. Global food and energy crisis. Is this...
Who is responsible for that? All those things, who is responsible for that? Oh, that's right, Russia. Russia is responsible. They're the ones who chose to invade Ukraine. No one else. Russia. And yet, this person, I think, might be siding with Russia's peace plan, which would turn Ukraine into a proxy state, into a puppet state of Russia.
This winning? Ordinary people don't win in wars. They're cannon fodder in the games of...
I'm sorry, that's crying crocodile tears. I'm sorry, that is nothing. You can say, oh, all these people being lost in wars, yes, that's bad. Who's responsible for all that death and destruction? It's Russia. Can she even admit that it's Russia who's responsible here for that? Because it's not NATO, it's not Boris Johnson, it's not America. Russia is responsible.
Of others. And ye can shout glory in here all you like, but there's no glory in the grave, and only graves come out of this folly. It's time for people and the silent majority all over Europe to take to the streets this weekend and demand peace and an end to the war.
You can call for peace all you want, but what does your peace plan look like? Because from what I can tell, from what she was saying, she seemed incredibly pro-Russia. I'm sorry, but she is absolutely lunatic. Lunatic to the highest degree. I'm sorry, but that is just why should Ukraine have to give up land to make Vladimir Putin happy? Why should they have to become a permanent puppet state to make Putin happy? Or after all, it was Putin destroyed all those cities. It's Putin who is filling all those graves. And not once in that speech did she criticize the country that is responsible. It is Russia who is responsible, and Vladimir Putin who is at the head of that state. I find that incredibly a bit suspicious, because I think this person might not want to admit it. That is incredibly pro-Russia stance that woman has just taken. She might disagree with it, but I'm sorry, that is pro-Russia. What we've just watched there, that is a pro-Russian stance. That is not pro-Ukrainian. It is not in the best interest for what the Ukrainian people would want. It would destroy their sovereignty. It would destroy the very idea that they would ever get any choices to make about their own country. So I am sorry. This is the first time I've ever seen this woman, ever heard of her before. There are going to be others who said, "Oh, yeah, we know about this one," but that's so bad. That's just an awful take. And I'm sorry. Oh, I care so much about all those people who are dead. Yet you refuse to point the finger at the person who is responsible. Person is Vladimir Putin. No one else. My word. That's bad. That's so bad. But as always, thank you very much. And of course, victory to Ukraine. I think the best way to end this video. Yeah, I hope Ukraine wins. I hope this coming spring offensive is massively successful. I hope they retake Crimea and just completely, push Russia out of their country. Because that's what needs to happen. Because remember, that's who's in their country. That's who's causing all these damages. That's who is, as we've heard recently, as Putin would apparently, oh yes, we'd welcome an end to this war, while simultaneously that night bombing multiple Ukrainian cities. Honestly, yeah, victory to Ukraine. Seriously, victory to Ukraine.